Okay, I wanted to go back to the very beginning, and I find that very crucial. I believe I know I told you about it, that 2 days before Karlo was born, um, the reading, the Bible reading, said that um, Jesus would open up. Actually, Jesus opened up the blind man's eyes, not because. Well, you'll remind me. Um, the reason the man was born blind was not because of his parents' faults, and Jesus opened up his eyes so that Jesus can be celebrated through that man. And I absolutely took that as a message. I just knew it. I just knew that Karlo was in God's um, shield. I just knew from the very beginning that God had plans for Karlo. So never, ever have I doubted that Karlo would be on the right path. But the problem is that, I was the only one believing. And luckily, I did have family, my husband's support and my mom's support and his brothers. But nobody, absolutely nobody believes. So it's really difficult. It's difficult to this day. Like his teacher received the letter from the hospital, and she didn't say anything. She didn't even comment. She said nothing. So I came to school to pick Karlo up today, and I said, "Did you get the mail? Did you get the letter from the hospital?" And she says, "Well, yeah, I did." And I was thinking, the only thing that Karlo actually has problems with is math. Because yeah, she realized that now, because his nature, they have nature science, they have maths, they have creation, English, religious education, and music, art. That's it, physical education. So all other subjects, he's fine. He got a C on his creation test, a C in his nature science test, and well, she kept saying at first she doesn't want any of her students to have C's and D's because they will feel badly about themselves, which is absolutely, Karlo feels so happy whenever he gets a D. So we praise we praise God whenever he gets a D.
Yeah.
So yeah, the most difficult thing is getting people to accept that Karlo has potential. That's what kills us. Yeah. That's but
Now, let me
thanks to
ask you, did you know before he was born that he would have Down syndrome?
No. And another thing that I never talked to you about, I absolutely refuse Down syndrome tag, because if you ask me, it's a tag, and I love it the way you say it. That's when I fell in love with you and Equipping Minds and everything. When I heard you say, you talked about Rose, and after having said quite a bit about her, at the end you said, um, uh, you always put it that way, and I love it the way you put it. And she happens to have Down syndrome. If people were to put it like that here, I wouldn't mind having Down syndrome as diagnosis. But having people, the moment they hear about Down syndrome, they say he's mentally, I'm not going to use those words, but it's just a tag. And I absolutely, and the thing is that when you look up the definition of Down syndrome in Croatian, all you get is inabilities, low IQ, so many terrible things, which I absolutely disagree with. So I never, ever have I told anyone that Karlo has Down syndrome. Never, ever will I say that my child has Down syndrome. He has trisomy 21. That's it. And when people say, what is it? I say, it's just a genetic disorder, but he's doing well, he's thriving, I believe in his potential. Never, ever have I tagged him. And I absolutely refuse to do so.
No, yeah. I love that. And so because the school was asking him to be put in this more the special ed, and you were advocating strongly for the inclusion and that he could do the work and seeing his potential, the school asked for the psychological testing, and we talked about it because you've been doing Equipping Minds for over a year. And you've been through the certification, and then we started working a couple times a week this fall. And he said, hey, fine, if they need to do a test, let them do the test. And so there was a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and an OT that did the testing. And so talk to me about that and what they test and that report.
Yeah, the crazy thing about it is when the first 2 tests were done, I got some sort of information that he did well, because I wasn't present when they did the test, so I don't know what type of testing was it. I really, well, I did see part of it, but not all of it. So I got a phone call a day later asking me if I could get the opinion of his teacher, because in order to make the final decision, they need the input from his teacher, which was so unfair. And I wrote back. I thought about it for a long time, and then I said, it doesn't make sense. We want an independent opinion. You had the opportunity to test the child, so give us an independent opinion on the basis of what you heard, on the basis of what you saw. And the email, the reply that I got from them said, we will do so right after. And another thing that I did, I included all of Karlo's grades, because parents are able to see all the comments that their teachers write on their kids. So I could download all that, and I shared it with them, so they could actually see how he behaves, the grades that he's getting and everything. I didn't say, you know, it's just what you saw on the testing. Here, this is what Karlo actually does at school. And the email that I got said, we will make the final decision after the psychiatrist's examination, which was 2 days ago. And I was just over the moon when he said that on the basis of their mutual, not mutual, but on the basis of their examination and on the basis of everything they had seen, that they believe that Karlo is capable of continuing the regular program, and that he's within the broader range for his age, within the broad range scale for his age, which is wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, running out of words.
I know. And I think that's why, I shared with you. I'll do it again. When I got your email yesterday, I just burst into tears.
Thank you. And another thing, you're not going to believe this. So every time we have any type of testing, they want to know everything that Karlo does. So I told them about Equipping Minds. And the first thing was, who created Equipping Minds? And I said, it's Dr. Carol Brown. Oh, okay. She has a doctorate. What what kind of doctorate is it? Which subject? And they're so, and then I remembered what you said, that you continued with your education, that you wanted to get your doctorate, to get the, I love it how you put it, to get the voice for those who do not have one. Yeah, you're absolutely right about it. It's just unfair, so unfair, that they're just looking for diplomas and not the results. The results don't matter. The only thing that matters is the diploma. So thank you for getting your diploma, and thank you for putting it all together. It's a wonderful method. I'm just so crazy about it. I keep advocating. I keep trying to get people aboard to try. I was even thinking how good it would be if you had other languages, if people were, like the Roses program was available in other languages, because it would be more easier to because many people say, oh, it's English, so no, I don't speak English, I cannot do it. But it's just so simple. It just
Right. Well, and this morning I actually had an email from one of our she's an educator, she's a missionary in Bosnia, and we're going to scale down the workbook so it can be translated into numerous languages. She actually sent me an email asking to do just that. And so we'll have, with the new cards, we'll focus on those. We'll focus on, like probably extreme memory, tic-tac-toe, animals, 1 through 5, the vowels 1 through 9, and the arrows. Okay. And just those key things. So that is, it's being translated like in Spanish and French and some other languages. And so we're gonna, it like twice today, I feel like that's when God is getting my attention, and that we can get this into the other languages, because it is pretty basic things with numbers and colors and animals and everything. So, but so I am just so amazed and thankful to God, because it's God working in Karlo's life, in the prayers and his heart. And and scripture tells us in Jeremiah 24:7 that God gives the ability to know him, but God is also the giver of all knowledge, and Christ is in all things. And that's the hope that we have, and the hope that you have and your husband has, and with his brother, and getting to watch them play the card games the other day, and that it's a journey because he's still just so young,
Absolutely.
He's so young. And so getting to be on this journey with you all is just, amazing. It's just such a privilege, and
absolutely,
it makes getting my doctorate in education worth every
I just wish people, I wish people would understand it, because every time throughout this 8.5 years, I felt a door open somewhere. Every time I felt lost, something like when I discovered you, that was a crazy thing. Really, I don't know whether I ever told you about it. It was like I always I spent a whole lot of time studying, looking for answers. I found some wonderful methods and did so many wonderful things with Karlo. But when he enrolled to elementary school, he was, on the basis of his cognitive abilities, admitted into a regular program. But I just knew that he wasn't good enough. I knew that some things were lacking. I knew that he was too slow, that his processing was slow, that he couldn't hold on to things. And I just was trying to figure out what to do to help his working memory. And one night I was sitting at my laptop and searching for answers, and all of a sudden Equipping Minds pops up, and I read about it. And I didn't even, well, it was about the conference part 1 and part 2. And I just said, oh, that might be the answer, because everything that seemed as a problem to me, the answers were there. So I applied, and since it seemed like a whole lot of money, I asked if I could, well, I sent you an email immediately. It was 2 a.m. or something. And I went to bed, and I was thinking, what? And as I lay down, I was thinking, oh, I never even looked at the date. I don't even know when the conference takes place. So I got up to see when the conference takes place, and I realized that the conference took place 4 months before. And I was thinking to myself, how stupid. Instead of sleeping, I'm searching for some answers, and nobody will probably even read the mail. And I was so angry with myself, thinking of how I waste time when I should be sleeping, and in the morning, I don't know, because you always surprise me. You never sleep either. It was about 11 a.m., which means that it was very early in your time. There was an answer. I got the admission, and I started learning, and I just enjoyed every minute of it, and I still do. Like, I watch whenever I can. I just watch as much as possible, because I started the program. I started it like 2 days after I started listening. But the more I listen, the more answers I get, because working with you, I realized that I was rushing too much. I was rushing, Karlo. I wanted to get things. I wanted to get to step 20 in 6 months. It just doesn't work like that. And it's not like you master one thing and you're ready to move on. It's the quality. You have to work on something way more than I thought you should. So yeah, I'm learning daily, and I love it. I just love
Well, and I'm
learning.
thinking, and I appreciate you saying that, because I mean, that's where our heart is. I think you have heard my heart through the teachings and different things, and is to equip parents and educators and therapists when they're want to learn. Absolutely. But I think so often, and I had actually a friend, a colleague of mine who's a doctoral student, well, professor now, and so her son was struggling, and one thing, when he started doing Equipping Minds, and she just got a report that he is on grade level. And she was just like, I've never walked into a meeting and gotten a good report. And one thing she said to the teacher, she said, we started doing a cognitive program to increase his processing and working memory, because their decisions that the psychologists and the psychiatrists make are based on processing and working memory and reasoning. But none of the goals or the training are targeted that way. They're all targeted academically. And so she was like, so you all say this and you make these goals for him here in the United States and an IEP, but none of those goals strengthen his cognitive abilities. And that's the difference that Equipping Minds brings in. And I know that that's what they tested. That's what the psychologists and psychiatrists were testing. They didn't need to test him in reading or math, or, they needed to see his processing and his working memory and his long-term memory and his reasoning skills. And by God's grace and provision, that's what we've been training. But you know what? You've been doing it after he gets back from a full day at school.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's got his school, and then we do Equipping Minds, and he has piano and different things.
To us, Equipping Minds is the most important things to both of us. He just loves it. It's not like Miss Carol, you know how he negotiates every time we begin a lesson. He says, if I behave nicely, if I do well, what am I getting? So he's but when we get started, he's incredible. He just amazes me. He literally beats me playing tic-tac-toe. I don't know why. I can't concentrate well enough to be beaten by an 8-year-old, but he's so good, and he's getting better every day. And I love it how he shows. I told you also that we asked one of his friends, neurotypical kid, to join us for the lessons. And it's just amazing watching Karlo with this neurotypical kid, same age, and Karlo is wow. It's there are no words to describe it. I just love it.
Even watching him with his older brother, when we took the new cards and they're playing everything, and he's beating his older brother. Is that a
Yeah. Still trying to get his brother aboard, but yeah, we'll get there eventually. Yeah, and it was God's provision to, have his brother walk in on us when we had the lesson. So hopefully we'll get him more interested.
Yeah, so that was fun because
Yeah.
it really is a fun thing when the whole family's doing it and everything. And so I was so excited when that worked out.
Thank you
Oh,
so much.
no,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing and thank you for your commitment. And it's just going to be fun hearing more and more of how God's working in Karlo's life.
And what I said earlier, that's just amazing how every time I fall down, God finds something to pick me up. Like every time. There was this one occasion when I came home and I told my husband, there's no way, I'm not going to manage. I'm quitting. I cannot do it. It's just too difficult. And then his teacher calls me later and she says, he did so well on the test. He got a C, and that was a difficult math test. So, wow. Every time I fall, God finds a way to pick us up and lift us. So, yeah, you have to be a believer. You have to be a bit crazy to go against the current, because the current tends to be strong occasionally. And it's really tough, but yeah, there are some wonderful people in our lives, so yeah, we just stick to them. That's why we stick to you, and we'll continue. So maybe it'll take 5 years to reach level 20 or 25, but we'll get there.
Get there. Absolutely.
Yeah.